All right, time for another draftphysics.com, debatephysics.com, also video presentation, but can't get any rational debate. So, another Steve Mould video. Let's understand the context. I probably emailed him maybe 2 or 3 years ago. All right, requesting he pay attention to this subject. Now, I can't say for sure. I offered him $4,000. I might have only offered him two, but I think it was four actually. Basically gets 1 million views per video. He doesn't release videos too often, so I figured if he took this subject on, it would be worth my investment. Okay. Um, and so all polite emails. Yes, you're very interesting. Yes, you're a very nice person. I think you could do this subject, do it some good. All that kind of crap. Nothing in reply, of course. Nothing. All right, so after all these years, right? So just a few days before he released this garbage video, calling it the lever paradox, where he really doesn't know anything about levers and he doesn't really investigate them honestly in any way to analyze how they actually work. Just a terrible flat earth style video. Right after, okay, 3 days before that or whatever, I had sent out emails again and asked other people to also email him politely requesting that he investigate this very subject of kinetic energy, the square root of two nonsense. That somehow levers don't work. They don't conserve momentum, and more importantly, they don't make momentum conversions. So Archimedes, right, 1,000 years ago, whatever, uh, figures this out, and humankind figures out that basically, give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum to place it upon, and I will move the Earth. Well, Steve is saying he's wrong. Okay, Archimedes was an idiot because no, it won't work because you can't do this. This fast motion thing takes way too much energy. You can't move anything fast because it takes 25 times the fuel to go 5 times faster. Just that's their fact, and then it does 25 times the work because of this stupid mv squared thing, which on its face should look stupid to anybody with a little bit of engineering savvy. Anyone who's lived on Earth a while and had to mechanically use devices should know it doesn't make any sense, especially somebody who's worked with like electricity, for example. They should know, why would I square the velocity of, say, an electron? If the voltage is, say, velocity and the amperage is mass, why would I square the velocity and think it makes more watts and all of that crap? Yes, it doesn't work. It's nonsensical. So there's absolutely nothing defending this nonsense, and he's attacking something you really can't attack. Levers are momentum conversion devices. That's what they do. And when you suspend one, you even take more advantage of the fact that it's going to show you what energy equals what energy, what motion equals what motion. And he didn't get to any of these important subjects. So I'll just illustrate one more aspect that he just totally ignored in the video, didn't even think about how levers actually work, pretended he resolved a paradox by just saying the math is right, we know the math is right, our sacred math is right. Just typical religion. It's not physics, it's just dogmatic statements about reality, and they have no physical evidence to defend it, and he certainly didn't produce anything like evidence. He just made declarations and created up, complete shenanigan experiments, doomed to failure experiments. All right. So the simple argument is look, you don't need me to testify to this fact, but you can make a gravity balance, a balance. All right. And the simple truth is I made one nicely engineered, a nice little steel rod, very light, hollow, dangled magnets and ball bearings, and created a 4-to-1 relationship. Okay, 4 mass, 1 mass. And what does it end up being? 4 velocity and 1 velocity. Yes, that's exactly what it ends up being. And it just demonstrates, just oscillates so nicely. but understanding why does it oscillate so nicely. So that's the part that he didn't even try to investigate, or care to investigate, how levers actually work very different depending on where you put the fulcrum. So I guess that'll be the lesson for today. And then I'll read some comments. But there's a ton of experiments. Ballistic pendulums, you could use gears, you could use hydraulics. There's a ton of ways you could demonstrate that mv squared, 1/2 mv squared, just never conserves energy when you transfer energy from a light thing to a heavy thing. It never, conserves the energy, ever. And momentum is always conserved. Just a fact, and it's an absolute fact that's so easy to prove if they'll actually do an experiment, and they won't do the experiments. I mean, Leibniz, the guy who started all this, Huygens first said it, He said, mv squared is conserved. But he just said it. He didn't really prove it with anything. And then Leibniz took it up, and he made it a more aggressive statement. But he had no physical evidence. He just made the declaration that 4 pounds dropped 1 foot is the same as 1 pound dropped 4 feet. And, a Newtonian would point out, well, 1 pound dropped 4 feet. Yes, it goes 4 units of distance, but it's only going twice as fast when it hits the ground. And frankly, 4 pounds going 1 velocity is not the same momentum as 1 pound going 2 velocity. Those aren't the same momentums. It's clearly 1/2 the difference. It's half the energy. Not close. Not even close to the same energy. And in 350 years, they haven't done any experiment like that. All right. I could go to rocket engines, You calculate the kinetic energy of the thrust of the rocket. Will it tell you how fast your spaceship's going to go? No, he'll have nothing to do with it. Not a damn thing. Because the only thing that's going to give you the equal and opposite reaction that Newton described is the momentum. Just an absolute fact. All right, that I have to explain to the entire scientific community. God, amazing. Because it's a religion, They just say you must keep our Holy Ghost in the Bible. We will not take our Holy Ghost out of the Bible. mv squared, that's exactly what it is. It's the holy stinking ghost. This makes no sense. A velocity is a vector. It's a one-dimensional object, essentially. That's it. It's just a thing going a velocity in a direction. That's all it is. All right? And you can't square it. There's no such thing as a square of it. And there's certainly not a cube of velocity. So right there, you all should be very suspicious and say, what could that physically mean? In this physical universe, what could a velocity squared actually mean geometrically or sensibly? How could it possibly be a concept? But no, they never even thought about, oh no, we don't care. All right. And it's so bad. All right, the history of mv squared is abysmal. There's just no good arguments made in its defense. None. All of them are just declarations that are absolutely not true. 4 pounds dropped 1 foot is not the same energy as 1 pound dropped 4 feet in gravity. It just doesn't happen. All right, so the lever. So what I discovered, in playing with a simple gravity balance, right, is that there's 2 ways. Well, there's 3 ways, You could put a fulcrum in the center. Not a good idea. You could put a fulcrum below, or you can hang it, from above. You could just put a little loop there and hang it. And each one of those will create a lever that works in a different way. If it's right in the center, well, then it doesn't matter where you put the weight. It'll stay. So I could have, it just doesn't matter. It won't balance. All right. We won't be forced to. And then at the bottom, it's all or nothing. If there's any tiny, difference, it won't just say, this is the difference. 3 pounds versus 2 pounds, and it'll do this and tell you, that's how much you're off. You could even measure this displacement, and you could actually know how far off you are. But if you do this bottom thing, it's just all or nothing. It just says it's too much weight here, it's going all the way to the bottom, and that's it. So the top is the ideal because it allows you to actually measure the differences, because what the top is doing is different than what the bottom is doing. So you can understand, say if I tip this, all right, you can see that this line changes. This line stays straight through the lever. And now you have a different amount of mass. Okay, I could probably do that with another color. You've changed where the mass is. Okay, now there's more mass over here. This whole section of mass displaced, right? So you've displaced the mass from one side to the other side. So all you're really doing when you suspend it is you're just taking mass that was on one side of the lever and you're putting it technically on the other side. You're changing how much mass is on one side versus mass on the other side. So the objects are almost irrelevant. Once you've put two equal objects on, right, let's just say they're not equal, but you just do the distance thing. So you put a smaller object twice the distance, all right, and you've gotten two objects that now have the right, when they move, one's going to be half the mass moving twice the speed, the other one's going to be the full mass moving half the speed. All right, and so they're equal. And they're going to be totally irrelevant. It's not going to matter how high one is or how low one is, because the gravity on them is the same gravity. You can't change how much gravity is by going up 2 inches or going up 3 inches. None of that's going to make the difference. And what the lever is just basically doing is anytime you tip it, anytime it turns, it throws more mass on the other side. So it automatically is trying to rebalance. And that's why when you put energy into it, it's always the same mechanism. All you're really doing is changing the mass of the lever. So the heavier your lever is, the balance stick, the more energy you can put into the oscillator, because what you're really doing is taking a piece of the mass of the lever and flipping it from one side to the other side, from one side to the other side as it oscillates. You're taking a straight line and just recognize, oh yeah, I'm just put more mass on this side. When I tilted down, I put mass that was over here, right, over mass on this side, and I swung it over to this side, and that's what tilts it back the other way. So it's the inverse. And if I put a fulcrum at the bottom, well, exactly the opposite happens. I'm taking the side that's now heavier and I just made it even heavier. So when I use a fulcrum at the bottom, I'm guaranteed to just, I can't make a balance. I can't make a balance that will oscillate. And if I want to be able to oscillate, I have to connect it from the top, because then every time I make a switch and I put more mass, I always put more mass on the side that's getting lighter and forcing it to go back down. So if I made the device, like I said, oscillates perfectly, you can figure out that yes, it would work. And what's really happening has nothing really to do with how high this is going or how low this is going. It just has to do with the mass being switched from one side to the other. And it's just demonstrating that these two things are, in fact, irrelevant. That whatever energy this is using or energy this is using, they are equal, and they're always equal. And it doesn't matter how fast I'm jiggling it or how fast I swing it or any of that nonsense. Because the only thing that's making the lever oscillate is what's happening right at the fulcrum, where you're changing how much of the lever is on one side or how much of the lever is on the other side. And that's what's causing the oscillation back and forth. So it's a way of just proving it works. Balances work. He's basically saying they can't work because when I put the lighter thing on the other side, it has more inertia, and somehow it's really hard to push. And so it's twice as hard to push. If I wanted to go twice as fast, I have to push it 4 times as much. Doesn't happen. It's not the truth. It doesn't have anything to do with physics or reality. Archimedes knew it, all right? And these idiots today can't know it for some reason because they've been indoctrinated to believe in a holy ghost, an MV squared magic that has no credibility. Never did, never. There's not one single compelling experiment that says you must believe this nonsense. And there's lots of subtle pieces of evidence they've accidentally done that prove it is nonsense. For example, the Mythbusters crashed cars into a steel wall. Crashed a car at 100 miles an hour, crashed a car at 50 miles an hour. The car crashed at 100 miles an hour should have 4 times the damage, and it only had twice the damage. So pretty dramatic, okay, in terms of a demonstration. Yes, not a perfect scientific experiment in the sense you really should do 10 miles an hour and 20 miles an hour and 30 miles an hour and 40. You should really test this. But physics isn't about testing. It isn't about doing experiments and learning from experiments. It's just about propaganda, and that's it. It's just religion. All right. So that's your lesson for the day. And we'll go to some moronic comments. Yeah, yay. It'll be fun. Not really. But whatever, it'll be what it is. Because the internet sucks, humans suck, scientists suck. It's just pretty much a big fucking suckiverse. Just nothing with any kind of fair play integrity. You can't find that, apparently, in human beings anymore. They don't build them that way. Alright, back. Alright, so, it'd be nice if the commenters would actually quote something I said and then demonstrate how it's incorrect. So in each one of these videos, I give a ton of drawings, examples. I make it clear what I'm arguing, and they can never come anywhere close to those arguments. Ever. And I sit there and give them the challenge, right? I mean, I show them how you can make free energy out of their theory. And I ask them, please, just explain how there's something I said in that diagram that shouldn't work by your theory. That there's some part of your theory that proves that won't work. And they won't do that because they can't do it. Simple answer.
I was just skipping through to see what this was about, and what the fuck did I hear at 8:37?
I don't. What did you hear? I'm not gonna go look. Really? You think I'm gonna go back to the video and play 8:37 to see what the fuck you said? You fucking idiot. Or you think any one of the commenters, the other people reading this, might do? Of course not. I just love these imbeciles. I mean, they're just so disconnected from anything real. I would never think of sitting here, paste a bunch of time codes into a fucking comment and say, oh, go watch all of those time codes, please, so I can make my stupid point. Oh, Jesus. They're just so full of themselves. It's not him that says work done in the context of Newtonian mechanics, at least. It's not Newtonian mechanics. Newton believed in something called quantity of motion, which was momentum. That's why he wrote a third law, is because momentum is equal and opposite. Kinetic energy isn't. Gun, bullet. You think gun, bullet is equal and opposite, retard, by kinetic energy? Clearly by momentum it's equal and opposite, not by kinetic energy. 1,000 to 1 difference. Kinetic energy says 2,000 joules going that way, 2 joules going that way. That's kinetic energy's brilliant statement regarding reality. Okay, at least is force times distance. It is defined so. Yeah, right. Just like the religious kooks say there's a Holy Ghost or a snake god. I don't know exactly what the Muslims believe in. Anyway, it's ridiculous. You're saying it takes 4 times the energy to push something twice as fast. So I'm in space, and I want to make something go twice as fast. You're saying I have to apply 4 times the energy. It's a ludicrous statement, okay? There's just no evidence of it. The simple fact is it's not force times anything equals energy, because energy is force. That's what Newton said, overtly. You want to go twice as fast? Hit it with twice as much force. That's what he said. 3 times as fast, 3 times the force. Energy is force, is weight, is pressure, is heat. They're all the same thing. I mean, you named a joule after Joule, and Joule's biggest contribution to physics was to basically prove that you could turn all of the energy in something into heat. That every bit of its energy could be converted directly into heat. So you could know exactly how much energy it had because you could measure how much heat it could create. And you don't even understand that. All right. There's no room for opinions. I mean, amazing bullshit on this, because it's not an open to interpretations. We have zero evidence, and we have complete confidence we have complete faith in Steve Mould and veritasium, because that's all you have. You have nothing else. You have statements from morons stating something's true, and there's zero frickin' physical evidence. All right, I agree that it is a simplified definition. It doesn't matter what kind of definition it is. It's a definition with no physical proof behind it, no evidence. It's an unevidenced pile of crap. It's a fable. It's religion. Dogmatic religion. Okay, and should include information about the relationship between the directions of the force and the displacement of vectors. There's such a difference between which direction, how much space you take up and how much speed you went and how much velocity. Velocity and speed are different things. See, one's a vector and one's a okay, it's magical. Okay, we call it a scalar, but it's really magical energy because it doesn't have a direction. It's going really fast, but it doesn't have a direction. It's going really fast in no direction. Yes, we're scientists. Fuck you. This is so stupid. Directionless velocity. A vector that's not vectoring entirely. It's just vec. Yeah, there's no tor. Okay, include information about the relationship between the direction of the force and the displacement of the vectors. But it's acceptable definition for the experiment he is describing, because scales don't work. And Archimedes was a fucking idiot. No, you're idiots. Okay. You claim that work is force times time. No, I claim it's force, okay? Look, there's no reason to even play with these other concepts, because you can change them and it won't make any goddamn difference. All right? There's no distance when the Newton's cradle hits the other ball. There's no distance, okay, that the force travels. So it's just bullshit. All right. You claim that work is force times time, which is weird because we already have a term for that, momentum. Yes, exactly. And momentum's the only real thing, and that's the only thing Newton believed in, and that's the only thing Archimedes understood either, you stupid shit. You don't think Archimedes understood that it's just a transfer? You have an M and a V. And just understand, Archimedes was all about understanding weights, okay? The difference between mass and weight. So you have an MV, okay? And Archimedes physics is basically just saying, I can have a big M and a small v, or I can have a big V and a small m. That's completely rational physics. It's exactly the truth. It always works. And you idiots have ruined something so fundamental, elemental, and completely functional with a silly fable for which you have zero evidence. Because you're religious kooks. Why do you think... Leibniz believed in solitons and monads. He was a religious kook. Why are you saying he's a good physicist and Newton was an idiot? Oh, damn. All right, momentum. I think you have a big misunderstanding. I think you're an asshole. On how the meaning of these words in the English language need not to be the same in the scientific context. So yes, you can have speed, and then there's something else called velocity. So there's speed, and then there's velocity. And I don't know. I can't make any sense out of what I'm saying either. Do you believe in fourth dimensions, right? Dimensions all have a rule, right angles to each other. Do you really think you can make some other line that's going to be a right angle to the other three? Yeah, no, I don't think you can. You people are just you're just such fucking idiots. All right, anyway, in the scientific context, so these aren't scientists, these are just religious fanatics.
Okay, words have a certain definition and are not arbitrary and context dependent. Well, words like smart and dumb, okay, do you know what those mean? Well informed, completely full of shit. Yeah, okay, you're full of shit, asshole. Okay, I looked through some more. Oh, okay, don't. This is another big mistake in functioning on Earth is you don't say shit and then not erase it when you find out differently and say, oh, I'm going to just say something added even though it's completely in contradiction to what I just said. Never do that. Too stupid. You just start the fuck over. No, what would be even better is you'd actually watch the content you're going to criticize. That would be even better. That might even be something a scientist would suggest, that you should actually read a book before you critique the book. Edit. Okay, I looked through some more of it, and it seems like you have zero understanding or knowledge about physics. Yeah, so, and you won't quote a single sentence I said. Oh, and prove it wrong. Okay. Or about how scientific thinking works. I mean, this is just amazing. You can't make a single physical counter argument, you piece of garbage. I mean, please, future. Okay, after I'm dead, find this, whatever, this Sherigana Tanama Mamasa Rasa guy. Find him and piss on his grave. These shit talkers. You people, you really should be accountable for what you say. Do you have any depth of knowledge on this subject? Or are you just a silly little fanboy, okay, who's just going to sit there and defend an asshole because he's your hero? Oh, it's disgusting. I already typed the above message, so I will leave it there, but don't bother responding to it. Oh, it's just so beautiful. You know, I'm so superior to you. I will not pay attention, and I will not. Oh, God, you're just like, who would do this on the internet? I mean, I can say, okay, I'm willing to make all of my whole life on YouTube public. I'm willing to give YouTube the right to expose every single fucking thing I've ever written, said, or done. Okay, but you're never going to find anything where I've ever gone on somebody's fucking video and typed tripe like this. What kind of fucking, you know, you're just such girly boys. Ooh. Ew. Sorry, no offense to the girly boys. Alright, I am very confused about what you said about velocity squared. I mean, how can you be confused about it? What sense does it make? It's a vector. How can I have a square of a fucking one-dimensional vector? Okay, and you can understand, square yardage. Yeah, okay. I could even do, square meters of space. I can do all of that. A square of velocity? Get real. Okay. And how you can't do it. Yes, I think reasoning is you can't have a square of velocity because it's not a physical thing. It is a physical thing. The point is it's a one-dimensional physical thing, and you can't make it more than one-dimensional. It doesn't make any sense in more than one dimension. Correct me if I'm wrong. I already corrected you in the video. Okay, anyway, that's like saying you can't have 2 squared. Why 2? 2 is a thing. Two-ness. It's completely different. And frankly, that's an abstraction. So, yeah, you can square abstractions. All right. Velocity squared is velocity x velocity. Yes, exactly. So something's going this way. How can I have it times itself? How can that mean something in the real universe? That's just saying, what do you mean? It's quadratically increasing its velocity? No, it only has velocity. It can't. What are you squaring? What dimension of it are you squaring? And that's where we get to this whole distance crap that you make up about, well, if it's going twice as fast, it covers twice the distance. So we need to square that for some reason. Why? Who knows? Why is going twice as fast 4 times something? Or 4 of something. Of course it's not 4 of something, it's only 2 of something. Alright. Anyway, velocity times velocity. This is a really basic concept in maths. So they're pretending because they call it maths that it's somehow they've just said something reasonable. It doesn't make it reasonable. Calling it maths does not make it reasonable. Okay, and what I'm saying to you plainly is that a velocity is not a squareable object. That's what I'm saying to you. There's no reasonableness to the idea of it. There's no conceptual idea that it could work in the universe as a pile of geometry. It doesn't make any sense. So you're doing it because you don't know the real truth, and so you're trying to apply something to make an artificial truth. You're saying that, well, the end product is this, so we need to square something, so we've decided to square the velocity. And the point is that your original conclusion is wrong. Your conclusion that 4 units of gravity distance equals 4 units of energy is just plain stupid. Oh, God, you're idiots. What are you smoking so I can avoid it? God, yeah. Human garbage. So that's the best you can do. In a discussion about a specific subject, a paradox regarding levers, but the real paradox is the conflict between momentum and kinetic energy. And the best you can do is that tripe. That's because you're a science lover. Yeah. So science needs you like, what do you call it? Like, you're just, it's like giving a gun to, well, it's like you're just the worst enemy that your own side could have. Okay. Hi, I'm interested to know what you make of gravitational lensing. Well, that's a completely different subject, so it's a different video, so we'll save that for later, but I'll do a little bit on it. Already talked about it a ton. I'm just saying the Eddington experiment is absolute rubbish, okay? I mean, he said in his own journal, I got 10% of the data quality and I wouldn't stake my life on these results. So right from the start, you should know, oh, we really shouldn't be expecting light to be bent by gravity. And my simple argument, if you ever see lensing, you're going to see it because anytime light has to travel through particles of matter, it will be diffracted in all directions. And so you could see all kinds of mirages, just like you see them on Earth, right? So you go to Texas or something where it's nice and flat and you can see 3 or 4 miles and you see like road signs going up in the air and doing all kinds of weird shit. Okay, so yes, if you make light travel through clumps of junk, little particles of dust and shit, it will be diffracted, but it will never be bent by gravity. All right. This whole video is bad faith argument. So I detail all of the arguments about how, well, how can you possibly say levers don't conserve momentum? That's exactly their function. That's exactly why you use one, is because you can convert one momentum into another momentum. You can change the big M and the little v into a big V and a little m. That's exactly what the damn thing is for. And I'm making the bad faith argument? Fuck you, Brandon. Alright, so this guy comes back, Mr. Anime. He's like 15 years old. I've somehow managed to watch more than the original video, and you seem to be confused about how it differs in static versus dynamic situations. Everything is always dynamic. There's nothing in the universe that's in anything called a static. Idiot. Nothing. You're not static right now, sitting in your fucking whatever, your gamer chair. You're not static, shithead. Okay, you're moving through space. You're having your fucking velocity changed every millisecond. Everything's being pushed around all the fucking time. Everything is dynamic in this fucking universe, you fucking idiot. And your silly notion that somehow, well, if I move it this much, there's some special force that imposes an inability to move it anymore. That somehow there's ether, okay, that slows it down. You're just making shit up, asshole. All right. His lever is pointing to the ground, so the weight of gravity doesn't matter much. Well, that's the whole point. If you're going to weigh something, you actually have to have a force pushing on it, okay? There's no force applying a pressure against the motion, so you're not going to be able to really detect something's weight unless there's a force you're pushing against. Idiot. Okay. It's about momentum, which is different. So there's nothing different about it. The lever is about momentum. You're an idiot. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Why don't you make an experiment? Why don't you? The whole argument is they have zero evidence for what they claim to be true. Their argument is it takes 25 times the energy to move something 5 times as fast. You would think they would have one fucking piece of experimental evidence, wouldn't you, in 350 years of saying something that's so fucking stupid that they'd have one fucking experiment that actually demonstrates that to be true, and they have zero. And you're giving me this garbage that I need to do something? Fucky Yui. Why don't you make an experiment where 2 levers hit a load cell? So he means a force detector. Okay, measuring peak force in dynamic scenario. Well, we know first off that those electronic devices aren't very good. Okay, because even the sampling rates get the higher the sampling rate, the more extraneous the answers get, and you have to add up all of those ones, and so it doesn't measure weight better. Okay, in any real way, except as an average. So it doesn't really work as an impulse detector. It's not designed for that purpose. So why would I use it? All right. If it ends up travel the same speed, the force should be the same according to you. Yeah, that's exactly. According to me, momentum always works. Always. Okay. Just look for where there is momentum and you'll see where the energy is. And that vibrations are momentum. So heat is momentum. Yes. That's what I'm saying. Also, you mentioned his sticks being different length about 30 times. Yeah, and then I pointed out how, okay, it's just because of the camera angle. Who cares? Let's ignore that. So that's what I did. I watched the video live where he did that part, blah, 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 blah. And I noticed something, again, you want to make a point out of something I said in the actual video. I said right in the video, okay, just ignore that argument. And here you are bringing it up. And you're not going to tell me you don't have a micro penis? Oh, yes, you do. Okay, making my brain almost melt, even though he has the same length. So just fucky Yui for that alone. I should just say, fuck off, you little weasel. Just what the fuck was that, shithead? Oh, it's little petty people on this planet. They're just so petty. So out of all the arguments, the only argument you had is that, I made a little bit of a style mistake. And in the sense that, I made something out of something that wasn't true, and then I admitted I just made something out of something that wasn't true, and because I didn't waste time editing it out, because some little putsy weasel like you would bring it up. I mean, I could have edited it out, right? I mean, what? Is that what you want me to do? You want me to edit the videos? Is there any point in doing that? Because you can't handle being fair? Oh, okay. Let's see. So yeah, this one I actually responded to. Let's see. You only watched half his video and decided to make an hour-long debunk of it before you understood if he had got to the correct understanding when that was the whole point of the video. So exactly the opposite happened. I watched more than half, and I watched the entire part where he switched sides. So I got the whole point that he was going to say, look, it looks like levers are following momentum. But no, they're really doing this kinetic energy thing and they don't work at all. So I waited till he got to the silly part. All right? So again, you can't be honest, right? These are the only arguments you can make are these dishonest statements about what I did. You can't man up and show some integrity and actually make an honest argument about something I said in the video. I mean, do you think levers conserve momentum or not? Do you understand the words conservation of momentum? He's arguing they don't conserve momentum, that the lighter mass cannot move twice the speed with the same force. Half the mass cannot move twice the speed if I apply the same force at half the mass. He's saying it doesn't happen. when levers do it all the fucking time. All right. To show the journey of understanding it. So you don't understand it is the whole point. He didn't even try to understand it is the point of my video. I'm saying he didn't do any clinical, reasonable experiments. He basically just said, hey, religious person, do you believe in my religion? Yeah, that's what he did. You believe in God too, right? There, we've proven it. God exists because I believe it and he believes it. So God must exist then. Flat earthers aren't that stupid. Okay, so let's see what I said. Well, that's just false narrative. I did watch the first half of the video past the point where he totally changed the story. He starts by defending the idea that momentum is conserved, then he completely changes the story to momentum is destroyed, kinetic energy is conserved. What I did was illustrate all the ways his reasoning was wrong and explain what his experiments were frivolous and silly. So yeah, again, that's what I did. That's the actual truth. Okay, my video is just a fair critique of a really bad book. Okay, somebody wrote the book of bullshit. All right, and I made a critique and said, gee, it's just bullshit. Okay, this is just toxic nonsense. I mean, no kid should ever watch this fucking goddamn video because there's no science in it. All right, it is just fucking shenanigans. It's crap. It's pseudoscience in its worst form. It's worse than flat earther crap. Oh, God. Just amazing. These people are just so weak. So here's the asshole who just made that one little comment before. DraftScience, yikes, laughing my ass off. Well, do it in some other dimension, fucker. Ugh, God, I hate these people. Ugh, I mean, waste of time. I'm going to type 2 words. Fuck you. There. I've never done that on a video, right? What's the point? I hate you. What, I'm going to type that on somebody's video? God, you people are just such crap. Oh, amazing. Anyway, so enough of that. Enough of the video. So until tomorrow. Yeah, it's where, like I said, we have to still get to the ballistic pendulum. All the other experiments to just demonstrate flat out. There's just no way you can reasonably defend any of this garbage about any fucking inertia problems and that somehow momentum isn't conserved and blah, blah, blah. You're just idiots defending absolute Holy Ghost crap physics. Ugh. And you can't be dragged to the truth trough because you have zero evidence and you won't even admit it. You can't link me to any good evidence. And you won't even just say, well, that's pretty good evidence that I should be on pretty shitty ground, right? If I can't link to a single piece of experimental evidence proving what I'm claiming to be true, then fuck, I shouldn't be claiming it. So fuck you people. Oh, so you're just so despicable. Yeah.